So, you may have come across this video because you or a loved one are dealing with a nervous system disorder, and maybe you're looking for additional support and ways to help prevent progression of disease or help reduce the risk of developing future disease. We are starting a series of new virtual classes for the 2026 year, and we're going to start by focusing on the nervous system. We're going to talk about Alzheimer's disease a little bit briefly today, but stay tuned to the end of the video to hear more about our plans for the next classes in our nervous system series. So, we see a wide variety of nervous system disorders and conditions in our daily work, but let's talk just a little bit further about Alzheimer's disease because many of us have someone in our lives that may have received this diagnosis. So, Alzheimer's is one of the most common forms of dementia. It's this progressive neurodegenerative condition that impairs our cognitive functions, our behavioral functions, and has a tremendous impact on overall quality of life. Typical symptoms that we see with Alzheimer's disease include things like confusion, memory loss, mood changes, so things like irritability, agitation, more frustration. You may also find that your loved one is forgetting things, whether it's people or names. They may also forget commonplaces. So say they've gone to the same grocery store twice a week for the past 30 years and all of a sudden they have no idea how to get there anymore, or they go and they can't find their way home anymore. That tends to be one of the more common and concerning signs that we see with that dementia as it progresses. Another aspect that comes along with Alzheimer's disease sometimes is the inability to complete activities of daily living. So that's things like taking a shower, brushing our teeth, brushing our hair, cooking for ourselves in the kitchen, and those kinds of things. Now, there is a lot of information that we don't really know about Alzheimer's disease yet. There's a lot of good ongoing research into what exactly causes Alzheimer's disease. We really think it is caused by a combination of genetic, environmental, and lifestyle factors, most likely, that all basically work together to contribute to the presentation of the disease. So, whether your parents have received a diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease and you're looking for ways to help slow down their disease progression, or maybe you're looking to reduce your own risk of disease development, there's many things that we can do to help support a healthy nervous system. These typically include things like meditation and mindfulness, grounding, deep breathing, some vagus nerve exercises. We can also talk about ways to strategize our supplements, get some movement in every day, and work on improving our diet. And so this really only scratches the surface and is a lot of basic things that we can do, but there's so many more ways that we can support the nervous system. And we're really going to spend a lot of time diving into that in one of our future classes. So if any of this sounds interesting to you, we would love for you all to sign up and join our classes. If you'd like more information, stay tuned for the rest of the video because I actually want to spend the next few minutes walking through and breaking down what the structure of the next few classes is going to look like. So our first class is going to be a 3-part series focusing on strictly the nervous system. So we think this is really important and a great time to bring this presentation in because we are all constantly dealing with stressors, whether they're societal stressors, political stressors, family stressors, personal stressors. We're getting bombarded with stress from a lot of different areas. And we've really been seeing an increase in people that are really struggling with managing these stressors effectively just due to the sheer overwhelm of the amount of stress in the world. Unfortunately, there is no magic wand to make stress disappear from our lives. So we want to help provide you with tools and information so that you can be well informed and be able to manage stressors more effectively and hopefully become more resilient in your everyday life. Now, let's talk about that first class a little bit and what we can expect. The plan is to take a deep dive into the nervous system. So we're going to talk about all the different branches of the nervous system and how they impact us, how they control how we think, how we feel, how we move, how we exist in the world. We're going to spend some time focusing on both the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous systems and their roles within the body. And then we're going to talk about what happens when these systems run into problems. And then we're even going to dive into what do we do from there? How do we support our nervous system for optimal health and well-being? Now, many of you are probably familiar with the phrases either fight or flight or rest and digest. And this is exactly what we're referring to when we're talking about the nervous system, specifically the peripheral nervous system. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk you through those different branches of the nervous system, talk about the roles they play. We're going to talk about, when these systems are activated, when they're supposed to be inactivated. If any of you have ever walked through life feeling like you're being chased constantly by a bear or by a tiger, there's a really good chance that your nervous system has been stuck in this fight or flight mode for a long time. So attending these classes could really be a great way to give you more insight into why your body might be responding in that way, and also how we can help change that response so you don't live in that fight or flight state continually. Now, after we finish the first session, which is strictly on the anatomy and physiology of the nervous system, we're going to take a deep dive into a few nervous system disorders. So we already briefly talked about Alzheimer's disease, and we're going to dive into that much deeper. We're also going to talk about Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, and if there's time, I'm hoping that we can add some bonus content talking about POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. This is something that we've really seen an increase in over the last few years, and the general public is becoming more and more aware of it. So I really want to make sure that we try to target that and at least get a little bit of information out there, because this condition is heavily associated with our nervous system and dysautonomia and that nervous system being dysregulated. So again, I want to talk about that, why it happens, what it looks like, and what we can do to support our nervous system if we have that condition as well. Now, a lot of these conditions that I just mentioned are associated with a hereditary component, but even then, there are still things that we can do to help support the rest of the body to ensure we're in optimal health, to really give us the best chances of reducing disease progression and reducing risk of developing further disease in the future. Now, we're going to talk about our third class, so we're just going to spend our time talking about supporting a healthy nervous system. And so that's going to be things like a deep dive into what lifestyle changes can we make? What's the best exercise for certain conditions? What diet changes do we need? What supplements are right for me? So those are going to be more of what we focus on and fine-tune on in those later classes. So now that we've gone through the structure of the classes and we have the details down, who are these classes for? Well, they're pretty much for anybody that has a nervous system, so anybody can attend. Whether you might be a 25-year-old new parent that is feeling really overwhelmed and unable to handle these little stressors throughout the day, or maybe you're a 50-year-old who has just been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and you are wanting to learn a little bit more about what is the nervous system, why is my body responding in this way, what can I do to support it. They would be a great class for you. Maybe you are a child whose parent has just been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease and you're wanting to see what steps we can add in to provide a little extra support to maybe help with some of their symptoms, or maybe slow down the progression of disease, or maybe you're even thinking about yourself and wanting to do everything that you can to prevent further disease progression. This would be a great class for you as well. So if you are interested in learning more about these classes, we would love for you all to sign up. We are really looking forward to getting this series started. And if any of you have any recommendations or ideas on class content that you'd like to see, we'd love to hear your input on what you all are looking for. So please send us a message and let us know how we can help. And hopefully we'll be seeing you soon.